Okay, today I uncovered a letter from someone claiming to be the Rothschild family in control of the central bank, and it's giving a warning for nuclear war. Okay, first of all, for those who don't know, there's an executive branch of the United States government, there's a judicial branch, and there's a legislative branch. And that's as far as their civic center based lessons in high school have gone. So what happens is the democracy has a separation of powers. The legislative branch is consisted of the House of Representatives and the senators. There are 2 senators per state. The House of Representatives has varying members depending on the population of the state. The executive branch is comprised of the Treasury and the President. The judicial branch is comprised of the Supreme Court. Okay, so that's the federal government. There are 50 states. The United States was founded with 13 colonies. The Continental Navy was formed, and the Army in 1947 with the National Security Act. The Air Force was formed from the Army with the same uniform. The Air Force is blue, the Army is green. The Marines were formed in the 1700s to guarantee the safety of naval officers on board ship. So our country was founded with the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution from England. Currently, the King and Queen are under house arrest, and in England and Britain is ruled by Parliament and a Prime Minister. There's a new Queen being crowned, Kate Middleton. The Queen owns large portions of the Earth's landmass. Australia, Canada, England, Scotland, Ireland. Right? That real estate is held by the Queen. So this picture doesn't stop there. There's a central bank. The United States owes $20 trillion in national debt. That is a promissory note held by the central bank. And the central bank controls the assets of the Queen, okay, and Parliament. In fact, anyone doing business in the world has assets in the central bank. I think I remember seeing there were only 3 banks in the world separate from the central bank. I think Iran is trying to start their own separate bank. North Korea might have one. China or Russia might have the other, or something like Emirates might have their own, right? So, getting into the Saudis, the Saudi family is the biggest backer of the United States and Israel, and the central bank is used. So you just with that information, you might find possibly, well, what happens if the King of England decides to eliminate Parliament, and we're back to Henry VIII, and he decides to revoke the Declaration of Independence. Oh, I don't recognize the Declaration of Independence. We want our 13 colonies back. Or the Magna Carta, basic human rights. So the central bank is saying you can't do that. It's not profiteering for us. We want more of a working middle class, and then, rule by king or Vatican. So, who knows what the Illuminati term really means? With the central bank, we have our freedoms. Otherwise, we'd be ruled by the King of England or the Vatican, or both. Just like the tarot cards, right? There's a pope on the tarot cards, and there's various houses, the tarot cards. So it is with the central bank that we have our freedoms. The idea of democracy comes from a brother and sister, Hermes and Athena. They were titans. There was a war the Titans had with the Olympians. To make a long story short, Hermes brought information from the Titans to mankind, and they were really pissed at him, Hermes. Athena brought democracy. She wanted to bring democracy, another idea of the Titans. The Titans were against it. Why would the inferior human beings need a democracy? They're basically one step ahead of cavemen. So we have this democracy from Athena, and Hermes brought the knowledge from the Titans to us. There were 4 famous authors in the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn: C.S. Lewis, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe; L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology; Aleister Crowley formed his own religion, the OTO; J.R. Tolkien with The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, right? So the Illuminati is talking to you with information that's already in your face. Okay, Wizard of Oz, the 4 witches, the witch of the north, the south, the wicked witch of the east, and the wicked witch of the west, right? There were 4 emperors in the Roman Empire at one point. Okay, so they're giving you a trail of breadcrumbs. What did a new discovery of hominid, what was it called? It was called a hobbit, when it was, a short humanoid, like in Florence's Island. So the Rothschilds have just issued a decree. I'm still trying to validate this letter. I'm going to read this letter from the Rothschilds. Basically, the The royal family is not the Queen of England. The Rothschilds own the Queen of England. So what happens when you are behind on your car payments? There's a guy that comes in and takes the car back. The Rothschilds has ordered a warning to the Vatican. The Vatican's title is about to be revoked. So I'm going to read this. The United States of North America, the Republic of North America, the Family of Nations, 1721 to the present. Date, 20 August 2017. From the desk of Royal Prime Minister Ernest Rothschild, the United States of North America, the Republic of North America, and the Chairman of Royal Imperial Federal Reserve System. To all keepers of the royal assets, peace be upon you all. This is an update from the perspective of the ancient royal families, aka the royals, of the current serious world events, especially those unfolding in the Middle East and the BRICS countries. Discussed are the real issues that are manifesting on the ground, as well as the concerns of the royals regarding the behavior of the global community towards the royal assets, and concerns over their keepership in general. So let us start with a bit of history as an introduction. Who are the royals? The ancient royals, not to be confused with the kings and queens of the current day, or the dragons one hears about, are hardly mentioned in the news, and that is how it is supposed to be. The royals for millennia have been looking after the planet, its treasures, its land and occupants under the covenant known as mandate from heaven. They are answerable to the galactic councils. The royals own the title deeds of all of the lands and are the ones who own the title of the public land. All the remaining land as being under fair use keeping, and are the backers of all currencies in this system. As stewards of the planet, they sublet the land to implementers who look after the running of the land for the benefit of its upkeep and that of their occupants. Sometimes other ancient families become implementers, and if implementers use force and coercion, then they are termed as dragons. For example, Queen Elizabeth II is an implementer and not part of the royals. So this should not be a matter of confusion. Sometimes they are given to groups or parties to form governments and therefore use their central banks to manage some aspects of the interface between the royals and the implementers. In recent history, the Committee of 300 was used for this interface, but now this organization is no longer in operation and a new one is in the process of being set up. Who are the keepers? So this goes on. What are the global agreements? What are keepership violations? So, it goes on. There are currently gathering of forces attacking ancient royal assets in both Syria and Iraq, as well as others waiting in the wings in readiness to join in the ranks. The royals view these attacks and these gatherings as directly coming against the royal assets and therefore are type 1 offenses and violation of keepership. All parties are hereby warned are to cease and desist and are giving now imminent declaration of loss of keepership. All parties are to return back from whence they came from and to stop the attacks immediately. All countries, intelligence agencies, militaries, families, and other organizations who are involved in these violations are to stop immediately and go back. A declaration of loss of keepership, including enforceable action, will immediately follow if even 1 foot is placed into any of these 2 countries by the participating parties. Furthermore, all countries that harbor or support such groups or are not in control of their internal keeps to stop these groups from freely operating within these regions will have committed Type 3 offenses in violation of keepership. Similar warnings and actions are to be acted upon them. No further warnings will be given. Okay, so this goes on, and it's signed Ernest Rothschild, Royal Imperial Sovereign, International Court of Justice, Royal Board of Governors, Federal Reserve System. So this needs to be verified. It has an address on 1701 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. When you look up 1701 Pennsylvania Avenue, it's a prestigious location. Ernest Rothschild has a Twitter account from 2011. So obviously we should already know the validity of this or not. Like, having to look it up means that you're ignorant of all this. So to me it sounds like something I was expecting to happen. The Rothschilds to issue some kind of statement, or we owe $20 trillion in national debt to the central bank. So does all the players right now in the world owe a lot of money to the central bank. So the business of the 2016 election, the presidency, is of little consequence, right? One president or the other, it's the same thing. This letter comes from some sort of galactic council. It's been known for quite some time that there are some off-world colonies. If you have $20 trillion, you could have a wine cellar on the moon or Mars. Virgin Galactic or some of these private spaceship firms were advertising like one-way or round-trip ticket to Moon and Mars for $100,000. NASA says they're testing a warp drive. So if they're testing it now, somebody else has done it, and they've probably been back and forth to Alpha Centauri by now. People are worried about all these various religions. I would be worried about some of the titans that are still alive. Like, these titans had lifespans of 1,000 years. Something like that, right? So they're running around doing whatever it is titans are doing. The workings of our government, the workings of who's got the money, where do we owe the money, who's in control. It sounds like they're gonna pull the title deed of the Vatican itself. The Vatican is failing to guard the assets. They revoked the United States. Itself, you might see California become a state of Mexico. California is the sixth largest nation in the world. Mexico will really build the wall, and Mexico will pay for it if California becomes the state of Mexico. Same with Texas. Let's say the California, Nevada, Arizona, and Texas become states of Mexico. If the Rothschilds pull the deed on the United States, we'll be building a wall, and Mexico will pay for it, right? In the novel Ecotopia, it was Washington, Oregon, California, and I believe parts of Nevada formed their own country when there was a revocation of some sort of Federal Reserve Bank, something or other. You have to read the book Ecotopia. So $20 trillion, like if you miss a payment on a car payment, they revoke your car, right? So it's getting ready to, that's just what I think some of this is about. If this letter isn't authentic, then there is one that's going to sound just like it that is authentic, right? So that just give you a heads up about that.